Ruto managed to win the State House race. The 10 Mount Kenya counties and 7 from the North Rift actually collectively handed him the 4.5 million votes.
Yes. Right.
There are those in Azimio who are now arguing that Kenyatta, who's the current president, played Raila to hand over this win to Ruto. Do you think Raila was played?
I wouldn't say Raila was played. My thoughts on that will be a few things. One, hard work pays. We have had William Ruto really do his homework well, and he has campaigned. He has gone outside there. You can even recall, on the last day of the rally, he was recorded running to the airport to catch his flight to Kirigiti here in Kiambu. People laughed about it. But he had a goal to achieve, he had a dream to achieve, and he went for it. And so the hard work is what has rewarded William Ruto. And honestly, from where the young people sit right now, they feel inspired. They feel triggered to achieve whatever they can think of. Impossible is nothing. That is what William Ruto has shown the world. And yes, he was going against all these other guys, the system, the state, but he has come out so strongly that as Newton, where I am, I can feel I can go for governor for Nairobi. And yes, I can win it.
Yes, you can.
Exactly. Yeah, as in, it is historical, as Prophet is saying. It is truly historical. It is truly inspiring. And I agree with the fact that, yes, impossible is nothing. And
so you don't think Uhuru played Raila?
I wouldn't say Uhuru played Raila, because one, if you see, presidency is not something that you win in your bedroom. You have to go outside there, campaign, and get it. So if you don't do your homework as a presidential candidate, you're waiting to be given. You know, it was so funny to see Azimio guys ranting all over, saying, oh, we are... And Chebukati warned them, this election will not be won here at Bomas. It will be won at the polling station. They ignored that call. They went to sleep and said, tutapanga kazi pale Bomas. What happened? They threw chaos, they threw tantrums. But at the end of the day, the guy who did his homework well managed. So let us not blame Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. But if you lose, just blame yourself for not doing what it takes to convince the voters to vote.
Caroline? Yes. To just jump on what Wakili has said, I think what Ruto has done, and we have to appreciate, is that, and also what Prof said, not only has he dismantled Moism, I think the narrative of dismantling the so-called dynasties is evident, because, as you say, I feel I can actually run for Senate or something like that, and I'm like, I have a chance, In the past, you'd have to go through the party. I've seen independents actually running and winning without even going through a party. So in that sense, this is a very interesting political era. And I think chance also met hard work, in the sense that some of these dynasties are now becoming old. You have older politicians, and as they phase off, the next question in the next political cycle will be, who will be the next so-called, and I am actually, against the idea of the kingpins. But now we are going to have point men and point women who are going to be the next point men and point women in Nairobi, etc., etc. So that's a good thing. Chance met,
prepared.
Exactly. But on the other hand, your question, was Raila played? I think there are layers to this. There were conspiracy theories that, DP and the president did not really fall out. This was a whole conspiracy. There is that theory that has been going around for the last few months. But the second thing is, I think we need to be a bit honest that, so assuming even he was played, I think he also played himself.
Yes.
In a way, because I've seen some intellectuals and some party stalwarts of ODM actually coming out and saying the party members, the top brass of the party, failed the president. Failed Raila, because there were all these accusations of laziness. There were all these accusations of disorganization, and not just in this election. Even in 2017, there were accusations where you're telling your officials in the field to secure the vote, they're not getting paid, they're not getting fed, they've been abandoned out there in the field, there's the secretariat has always faced, of ODM specifically, has always faced accusations of being disorganized, of infighting, and all those kinds of things. So I feel Was he played? That's a different conversation. May he have played himself? I think part of the blame will start going inward. There's going to be a lot of inward looking and asking, where did the rain begin to beat us? And this is a good thing for democracy. I think if ODM wants to survive and not become like KANU, that ruled for 24 years, and then of course there is a theory that this is still KANU, you know, the 100 years of KANU. If ODM and Wiper and all these affiliates of Azimio, One Kenya, you know, if they don't want to die a natural death like has been happening with different parties since 1992, and even with KANU itself, that now I think only has one, is it one MP?
Yeah,
it has.
Yes, just one MP in the entire, that's it.
Right.
If ODM and these other parties don't want to go that direction, there has to be, and we've been talking about this with Prof the whole week, there has to be an inward, you know, they have to do their own internal audits.
Right.
Ask themselves, how can we build this party? Either abandon it or build it. And it's not just about ODM and Wiper. All parties, I think we've reached a place where parties need to start asking, how are we going to face the next 5 or 10 years in opposition, for example? How are we as a party? Because remember, in the next 5 years, you're going to have about 5 million young people shifting from 13 to 18, and therefore shifting into, you know, having IDs and becoming active citizens in the country. Put that another 5 years. So in the 10 years, if DP Ruto, who is now the president-elect, has his 10 years, it means you're going to have about between 10 to 12 million new voters. How are parties, and how, when they do their projections, how do they envisage bringing new blood, new members into the fold? And this is not just about, you know, ODM as a party. You're talking about all parties. How are they thinking of growing their numbers, of strengthening their internal institutions, so that at the end of the day, we have parties as vehicles, not just to access power, but to involve the electorate in democratic processes. So for me, that is the larger question. How do we move forward? How do parties grow from this? And how do parties engage, whether you are in the so-called, you know, opposition, which you're calling the minority, which for me, I think, you know, there has to be an opposition. We need oversight. Even President-elect Ruto himself has said he will deal with as long as they're giving over. We need oversight. Lack of oversight, in my view, in anywhere, is a dangerous thing. Because what you have, you get lazy politicians, you get toxic legislation, and then you have a government that cannot be held accountable to anybody. Okay. These are the questions that we need to grapple with going forward.
And perhaps Newton can advise us if we have an opposition or not, or it's just the minority in Kenya. Just one quick second, Newton. The Daily Nation is in concert with your analysis. I think, Prof, you described yourselves as armchair critics. From what country can expect from a Ruto presidency? That's from job. President Ruto, we can expect a clear out at senior government ranks, but real politics will also ensure that campaign rhetoric and promises do not override the realities of governance. Dr. Ruto may well be a disruptive influence in many ways, as evidenced by his early life in politics when he became a bit of a thorn in the flesh of the Moi power structure, but he has always been more comfortable with the system than against it. All right, so we wait to see that. And on to what I promised, and Newton can come in immediately after this. President-elect to be sworn in on August 30th bar petition. Now, what the Constitution provides is, following the declaration of the results, where is my calendar? 14 days. After 14 days, the first Tuesday. So results were declared on the 15th. So let's count, 16, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, August 29th, as of August 29th, that is a Monday, that will be 14 days. The first Tuesday after this would be August the 30th. Newton, niko sawa?
Niko sawa kabisa.